Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we have an Amtrak vacation itinerary on the East Coast.
We've done some other Amtrak vacation itineraries on the West Coast, and we got asked to do some East Coast ones, so we're bringing that to you today. I know a lot of people live on the East Coast. They don't want to have all that time. That was kind of a long one. This is going to be a much shorter Amtrak vacation. You can get this one done in 7 nights, so if that's the kind of time you have off, this will be perfect for you. A little overview of the trip. We're going to be going from New York to Chicago to New Orleans on this trip. And you can really start in any direction. For our purposes, we're going to be starting in New York City. And jumping right in, that's going to take us on the Lakeshore Limited to Chicago.
Now you can also use the Cardinal, right?
Yep.
So it's just your choice of what you want to see. The routes are a little bit different, so just depending on what cities you want to ride through and see, you can choose either the Lakeshore Limited or the Cardinal.
Yeah, we almost always choose the Lakeshore Limited based on what works for us, time of day you want to travel, when they take off, and we do like seeing the Hudson River on the Lakeshore Limited. But the Cardinal may work better for you, so don't discount that, or it may just be cheaper when you go to book.
Yeah, it's nice to have an option of the two, because sometimes you only get one train to choose from.
Yeah, so on this 7-night trip, that's going to take up the first night. Both of the trains are going to be an overnight. You'll be on the train for 2 days and 1 night. You'll go to sleep halfway through and wake up in Chicago the next day, and you'll be able to go walk to your hotel and check in and spend some time in the Windy City.
Yes, and then from after the Lakeshore Limited or the Cardinal, you're going to be riding the city of New Orleans.
Yeah, the city of New Orleans, and that's kind of a weird one because it is kind of a hard train. The name is just kind of weird because it's like, well, is it a train?
It's the name of the city, so yeah. It's like, what are you talking about? It could turn into one of those who's on first, who's on second bits.
Yeah, so you're going to ride the train called the City of New Orleans from Chicago to New Orleans. And again, this is going to be just a 1-night train ride. You'll be 2 days, 1 night on the train. And then in each of these cities, we're going to recommend you spend 2 nights, because that will allow you 1 full day of sightseeing in Chicago and also in New Orleans. Now, there's no other really way to get there, so the City of New Orleans is the only train you're going to be taking. And it's a very nice train, but it's one that is not ridden that much by many people. Yeah,
it's actually a really cool train. It's probably the one Amtrak train that has the best on-time percentage as well. Little known fact that the staff shared with us when we were on that train. They were telling us all about it when we rode it for the first time. We have that video here on the channel. But that train has some, unusual things to it as well, which is really quite cool. Then from New Orleans, then we're going back. If we're circling, we're going back to New York, and we're going to ride the Crescent.
Yeah, the Crescent all the way from New Orleans. You'll pass through Atlanta. You'll pass through Washington, D.C. Again, this is a 1-night train. 2 days on the train, 1 night on the train. So that's going to complete the loop for us. This is the overview. We're going to go into all the hotels and food you should be seeing there. But that's going to consist of 3 nights on the train and 4 nights in hotels. So you've got 1 night from New York to Chicago, 2 nights in Chicago, 1 night in the city of New Orleans, 2 nights in New Orleans, and 1 night on the Crescent. That's a week, and I think that is a pretty doable train trip. So before we get into which particular hotels you should stay at and all that, let's go over the costs you can anticipate spending on this type of trip.
So you can ride in coach, in just regular coach seats on these, or you can purchase a sleeper car. Now, the difference between that is in coach, there won't be anything included other than just your seat and your ride, and you will have access to a cafe, but you will have to purchase any meals or drinks or anything like that. You can also bring your own food and beverages on the train as well. Now, in the sleeper cars, not only do you get a bed and a car attendant in your train car, but you also get your meals included. Any meals that you will be having while on the train, breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or any or all of those, depending on how many days you're on, those will be included with your purchase price. And with both of them, you get your 2 free checked bags, 50 pounds or less, just like any other Amtrak ride. And you can bring carry-ons as well. What else did I miss? I think is that it? Yep, yeah. That's it. So that's the difference between coach and sleeper. So let's talk about what's the difference in price, though.
So this is for all 3 trips combined for 2 people, and looking at it in December of 2023 this year, the price for coach would be $700, and the price for a sleeper or roomette, that is, would be $2,200. So about a $1,500 difference, and that's up to you if that's worth it or not. A lot of people end up paying a lot more than that because they book it, right when, like a month before the trip is going to happen, or try to go July 4th weekend or something like that. If you do that, those prices are both going to go up. They could go down, though, conversely, if you have some coupons. That's averaging about $700 per roomette for this trip. If you had the companion coupons, they would be about $500 each for the roomettes, and that would bring your cost to about $1,500 for the roomettes if you wanted to do a sleeper. And the way you can get the companion coupons is by getting the Amtrak Preferred MasterCard. You will get that. You will get points. If you're going to plan a trip like this and it's your first time on Amtrak, the best thing you could possibly do is get that Amtrak Preferred MasterCard before you do it. And I'm going to give you an idea of how much you could save. If you want a full breakdown of that card, we have it on our finance channel, so check that out. But right now, signing up, you're going to get a 30,000 point bonus just for getting the card, and you're going to get those companion coupons. So right away, one of those roomettes is going to be free with the 30,000 points, and then the companion coupons are going to make the other 2 roomettes roughly $500. So you could basically take that cost from $2,200 down to $1,000 just by getting the card, and you're really only $300 more than riding in coach at that point. So totally recommend doing that if you're going to think about a trip like this.
Yeah, it really does make a huge difference. That's really how we ride so often. We do see our kids, one lives in LA and one in Chicago, so we do ride the train a long ways often when we're in the US, and we do that a lot because we have that card and we build up those miles. We get a lot of free rides. We did the Texas Eagle from terminus to terminus for free in a bedroom because we used our points. So do not underestimate having that card.
Yeah. To book this trip, you can either call in to the Amtrak number and they can book it for you, or you can use the app or the website. And we usually just use the app to book all of our travel because it is sometimes easier than the website, and it has always worked fine. Mm-hmm. If after you book you want to call in and change your room number, you can also do that. And that is kind of one of the advantages of calling in, though, is that you'll know your room number right when you book it with them over the phone.
Yeah, you can basically, pick it with them.
Yeah, and that is an advantage. You can't really determine which side of the train you're going to be on, but you can choose on the Superliner if you'll be up or lower. But for the most part, these are going to be Viewliner trains that you're on anyway, so they're only one level, and your room really won't matter too much on these trains. So not too much to worry about there. Booking your hotels, we generally recommend to book them right through the hotel chain with the credit card of the hotel, because that's going to get you the absolute most points. And for these particular cities, the 2 most usable cards and hotel chains we found are Marriott and Hilton. Marriott, specifically in New York, if you're going to stay in a hotel there, the Fairfield Inn and Suites by Marriott is directly across the street from Moynihan. Like, it is a 10-second walk from the train station to the hotel.
You could almost just, you have a shorter walk from the walk from your room to the lobby is going to be longer than the walk from the front door of the hotel to Moynihan.
Yeah, and also in Chicago, the closest hotel is also going to be a Marriott. And in New Orleans, there really isn't a close hotel that we recommend, so you can really get anything. We generally stay at the Troubadour, which is the Hilton, but you could find a Marriott there easily too. So if I had to pick one card, if I was going to get a travel card for this trip, it would probably be the Marriott Boundless Bonvoy card. We have a review of that on our finance channel also. But that's going to get you tons of points, tons of credit, elite status with that chain. So that's just if I was planning this out and I needed to have new stuff, you know, all new credit cards, whatever, I would get the Amtrak and the Marriott to do this type of trip.
Yeah, that's going to give you the most bang for your buck kind of deal, and kind of freebies and upgrades and stuff like that, which are always very helpful.
And I mention this because a lot of times people say, you travel so much, or you just independently wealthy, or, you know, how do you do this? This is how we do it, is we do it using points. And we don't generally, we've never gotten any free travel like comped for being content creators. We do it only just the way you could do it, just by getting points and turning them in for free rides.
Yeah, so with all that out of the way, let's talk a little bit about the vacation part. These are 3 great cities. You're leaving from New York City. Obviously, there's a million things to do there, and we've already kind of shared where we would stay, which is that Fairfield by Marriott, right across from Moynihan. And so from there, you're going to be going to Chicago and exploring there. So let's talk a little bit about what that vacation part, what we would do in those couple of days.
Yeah, there's a few things you need to do. You need to go see the Bean. You could go up to Wrigley and see a game, or you could go to a White Sox game if you wanted to do that too. But more importantly, even in Chicago, it's such a food city, and everybody has their own opinion on this, but you have to get Chicago deep dish pizza. There's 4 to 5 different chains. You've got Lou Malnati's, you've got Gino's East, you've got Giordano's, and there's several that people have left us in the comments that we haven't tried out yet. We're going to try those out next time we're there so we can recommend them, but I'm sure people will leave those in the comments for you again. But those kind of food, then you've got the Italian beef sandwich places. We happen to love Al's Beef. It is such a food city that you really want to spend some time there doing that.
Your Chicago hot dog, you got to get one of those.
You got to get
we
that.
frequent Portillo's, but there's lots of vendors in different areas, like up and down in Michigan Avenue. You'll find a couple of vendors that sell the Chicago hot dogs, so you can have them there. There's lots of places to grab those.
Yeah, if you're into shopping, you'll want to do the Magnificent Mile, which is a mile of shopping. There's some great observation towers. There's the Navy Pier to go check out.
The architecture riverboat cruise is a great experience also. Yeah. There's really a lot to do there, so it's just a matter of what interests you most. Some people lean more towards museums and architecture, then pick those things. Some people lean more towards sports. You can go to, you know, there's plenty of sports in the city, very famous, you know, sports teams there, and just shopping, whatever it is you like, you will find something there that you love.
And moving on to New Orleans, there's definitely a few things you can do there. You can kind of take this one of 2 directions. You can go with the kind of whole Mardi Gras party scene, go stay down in the French Quarter, check that out, or you can go more historical and check out the World War II Museum, which is something we did on our last visit there.
As you might imagine, we leaned more towards the historical rather than the party scene. I know that's shocking, just kidding. But we do have a video here on the channel of our experience at that World War II Museum, and it was actually probably the most thorough and the best well done World War II museum we've ever been to, and we've been to a lot of them. That one is really fantastic. We highly recommend it. Even if that's not your thing, we highly recommend visiting it because it is really well done, and it's a really great experience going to see that.
Yeah, so these hotels should cost you in the neighborhood of $150 a night, but there's a lot of fluctuation here. We've stayed in hotels in Chicago in December for $70 a night. We've paid $250 in the summer. If this is a summer trip you're going to be taking, it's going to be a lot more expensive than if it is a winter trip, like an early December trip, is probably the cheapest time to go. Maybe early, early January after New Year's too. Those are kind of the cheapest times, as long as the Bears aren't playing in Chicago. But that's gonna, really change your price point. So if you want to keep it down, you could do this trip pretty cheaply if you got the Amtrak credit card and got your sleeper cars down to about $1,000, and you did this in December, and you could probably get away with about $80 a night hotels in Chicago and probably about $100 in New Orleans. So you're looking at $360 for that. You could do the whole trip for $1,400 in sleeper cars if you really plan this out well.
Yeah, and I think that's the key, is just planning it out. Just take the information here and start looking at the calendar and start, doing your research on when's going to be the best time to go. That way you can go and have a great time, not spend a ton of money, and still see some amazing things, right?
Yeah. Another couple things to point out about this is that you will be on 2 Viewliner trains, the Lakeshore Limited and the Crescent are Viewliners. The City of New Orleans is a Superliner. But you will be getting basically flexible dining on all of them. You won't get the new traditional dining, which has not come to the East Coast yet. So be aware of that before you go. If you're seeing all these Amtrak videos and you're seeing people eating this traditional dining meals with the white tablecloths and all that, that is not on these trains yet.
Yeah, you won't have that experience on these trains. And we've got videos of all of these train rides that we mentioned on here. They're all here on the channel, so you can watch our experience of each one of those and just kind of know in advance what you're looking at and what to expect, right?
Yeah.
All right, guys, so hopefully this is extremely helpful to you. We'll keep doing videos like this for you. This one was one that you guys personally requested, so here it is for you. Hopefully it is helpful in your planning for your next Amtrak vacation. We love doing itineraries because we obviously love to travel. Leave in the comments down below any questions you may have about this and other upcoming trips, and give us a like. We'll see you guys next time.